Mobilizing the economy. The year is 1917. America enters the war and defeats Germany. Da 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 da. As this happens, Allies began to run out of money, supplies, and troops.
Oh no!
They were decimated, exhausted, disheartened, and rebellious.
Sad face.
The Russian Revolution begins in March of this year, which leads to Bolsheviks' takeover under Lenin, resulting in the collapse of the Russian army.
Oh no!
Russian army collapse!
Oh no!
Russia officially leaves the war. No war! The Germans move their armies to France to take over all of Europe.
Bonjour!
Here we come! And as a direct result, the Americans intervene and defeat the Germans. The Americans were unprepared to go to battle, which led to their industries being disorganized. We're unprepared!
Sad face.
America's shipbuilding, airplane, tank, and artillery construction programs were ineffective because they developed too slowly to affect the war. No products in America. All the products are coming from Britain and France. Most of the products of the war came from France and Great Britain. Mobilization was a very complicated subject. Congress took 6 weeks to deciding upon conscription, compulsory enrollment of persons for military or naval service. 6 months after the war had been declared, draftees are finally sent to the training camp, for there was no way for Wilson to speed up the process of getting draftees to training. Wilson resisted the politicians who wanted to raise volunteer units, and also rejected Roosevelt's offer to raise an entire army division. When he was determined to be one, Wilson was a great leader. He was assigned to raise an army suitable enough for making war and supply allies with food, munitions, and money. Money? Food?
Thumbs up.
Yeah! Thumbs up! As Wilson continued to let America down, they found he was unruly of being a leader and placed his task in the hands of the War Industries Board, which could allocate scarce materials, standardize production, fix prices, and coordinate American and Allied purchasing. Laissez-faire loses its place in the wartime economy, and railroads become less efficient because of the strain of the increased traffic. William McAdoo is hired as the Secretary of Treasury. To direct railroads in order to run them more efficiently as a single system. McAdoo's railroad administration gathered all railroad equipment, centralized purchasing, standardized accounting practices, and raised wages and passenger rates. The War Industries Board set prices at high levels, which allowed large profits to come in. Mobilization required close cooperation between businesses and the military. Wilson resolved the resisted business and military cooperation by creating an industrial military complex, an alliance between the business and military. After a full year of creation, the huge task of industrial mobilization was born, which made mobilizing agriculture resources easier to solve. Wilson appointed Herbert Hoover to help solve food problems by persuading consumers to conserve food voluntarily. We will volunteer to not consume food. Hoover acted under the Lever Act of 1917. Hoover and Wilson used 2 important slogans to help sway consumers to conserve food. If you fast, you beat, you boats, and serve beans by all means. As these were said, the public patriotically agreed to begin to save their food. By doing this, Chicago's garbage declined 4,500 tons. In order to avoid inconvenience to American citizens, the U.S. increased food exports from 12.3 million to 18.6 million tons. This meant that the farmers profited greatly, and their business went up 30% between 1915 and 1918. Which leads us to the workers in the wartime. Because the army siphoned so many men from the labor market, less immigration made wages rise and employment disappeared, but the cost of living went up. The government began regulating wages and hours of workers, building army camps and manufacturing uniforms. April of 1918, Wilson created the National Labor Board, which was headed by former President Taft and Frank P. Walsh. The board considered more than 1,200 cases and prevented strikes. The war labor policies, led by Felix Frankfurter, set wage and hour standards for major war industries. Union membership rose by 2.3 million during the war, and workers were in extreme high demand.
Help me!
We need workers! Wilson worked hard and decided to set great store in preserving the individual worker's freedom of action. Trends in steel industry. Did you go too fast?
No. You just
Trends in steel industry reflected the improvement of wartime labor earnings, which more than doubled. Steel industry, which more than doubled. See, $1 plus $1 equals $2. By 1918, an all-out effort was to unionize the industry. If the world was made to be safe for democracy, they argued, there must be some economic democracy with political democracy. The end. Don't hurt before you have any.
I have a question.
Where's Garrett? This has been an Albert-like Snow production. It's sledding! In cooperation with... It just froze.
I'm Paul.
Okay, stop it.